When you log into GreenArrow Engine, you'll be taken directly to the admin dashboard. From here, you can manage any of the configuration or statistics that are available within GreenArrow Engine. As we work our way through the configurations and statistics, you'll see that we talk about domains in a number of different places. Each of these domain configurations impact a different part of the system, so make sure you understand which one you're working with before you make any changes. This first domain configuration is for any incoming email domains. This is where we tell GreenArrow what domains it should receive email for. These domains should have the MX record pointed to GreenArrow so that any external mail server looking to deliver mail for that domain will know to connect to GreenArrow to make that delivery. First, you'll see we have the primary domains configuration and we have the alias domains configuration. A primary domain allows you to configure any users or forwards or special mailboxes. An alias domain is just a shortcut. It's a way for you to make any of the valid email addresses on the primary domain also valid on the alias domain. On a primary domain, you can see that we can add additional email addresses. First, we have email users. These email addresses are ones that can send and receive mail through GreenArrow Engine, just like a regular email address. You can use an email client like Outlook or Thunderbird to access this email address and to send and receive mail. An email forwarder simply accepts mail from one address and forwards it on to a different address. And down below here, we have some special mailboxes. The bounce and spam complaint mailboxes are ones that GreenArrow will accept mail in and then process automatically. The spam complaint addresses were submitted as part of the feedback loop applications that were set up during your installation. If you create new feedback loops on your own, you'll want to make sure that you point any complaint addresses to one of these addresses here in Engine's configuration. This will make sure that any of those spam complaints will get into GreenArrow and processed properly so that they can be deactivated throughout the system. Similarly, a bounce mailbox will accept any delivery failure messages and process them automatically as bounces. We'll see later in the stats how GreenArrow looks at the bounce message and decides what type of bounce it is and whether or not the subscriber should be deactivated or not due to that bounce. DKIM is a special kind of email authentication that typically takes place on the from address domain. When we create a new key, you need to add in the domain that gets used. The selector only needs to be unique to this domain. If you don't have any other systems using DKIM for this domain, then you can just use any selector. If you are using DKIM for this domain using another system, then you'll want to make sure that this selector is unique to GreenArrow. You can decide whether or not you want GreenArrow to sign with this key for this domain by default, and you have the option to import an existing private key or have GreenArrow generate a new one for you. We recommend that you don't use anything shorter than 1024 bits for the key length. This makes the email authentication more secure, and in fact some ISPs like Google will not accept the email if the bit length is too short. You can increase it if you'd like. Once GreenArrow has generated the DKIM key, you'll need to add this DNS record to the zone file for your domain. Once all of this is published and propagated, this DKIM key will be ready for signing. The third place where we talk about domains is in the URL domains. This is the section where we add any additional domains that we'd like to use for click and open tracking. To add a new URL domain, you click the button and add the domain. When we set up a new URL domain, we will have to point the A record for that domain to GreenArrow's IP address. If you already have a website on newdomain.com, this would mean that you would break the configuration for whatever website is currently on that domain. To get around this, you'll want to use a subdomain. A subdomain allows you to point the A record for that subdomain to GreenArrow without impacting the production environment on newdomain.com. The subdomain can be anything as long as it doesn't already exist. So I've chosen GA. Next, you'll need to add an A record for ga.newdomain.com. This A record should point to an IP address that's listening on your GreenArrow server.